Well, if you haven't already guessed, we've had some snow. Look, the landscape around me is beautiful and white. Everything looks like something from a dream. I always think that when you look out the window and you see snow covering the landscape, it always feels like you've been transferred or transported to another world, maybe something like one of those famous fantasy novels like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, where those children were transported to the magical land of Narnia. So here we are then. I hope you are enjoying this. I couldn't resist showing you some of the landscape, some of the snowy landscape that we are enjoying here at the moment in England. Today is actually a special anniversary. Monday, the 25th of January, is actually a special anniversary because it is the 8th anniversary of my moving here to Much Wenlock. And to be honest with you, I haven't looked back. I haven't regretted a single moment of it. It's actually a nice place to live, to be honest. But the strange thing is, and here is an interesting story, did you know that my work here on YouTube is the reason why I actually ended up living here in Much Wenlock? Because way back in 2012, I actually made a video talking all about the Olympic Games, because in 2012, the Olympics were actually coming to the UK. And Much Wenlock is a special place because it does have a very strong connection to the Olympic Games for various reasons. But because of making that video, I actually fell in love with Much Wenlock. And because of that, I ended up moving here with Mr. Steve. And that is where we are now. We are still living here 8 years later. Can you believe it? Well, I can't believe it anyway. I can't believe I've been living here now for 8 years. Doesn't time go quickly? So we are going to take a look at some of the lovely sights of the snowy landscape, and of course it is very easy to forget that there are people who have never actually seen snow for real. Isn't it incredible? I always think it's amazing when you think that there are some people in the world who have never held snow in their hands. They've never felt snowflakes falling onto their face. So today I thought I would put that right. We will get as close as possible to the snow. Unfortunately, you won't be able to feel it, but you will be able to see it. I hope you enjoy the video. There's one thing I've noticed. Walking through snow is really quite exhausting. I don't know why. It always feels as if your body is working much harder than it normally would. Perhaps it is a combination of the cold weather, because walking out on a snowy day is not the most pleasant thing in the world. if I was honest with you. However, today we have a little bit of sunshine as well to brighten things up. So I am feeling a little bit more positive today, because despite the fact that the temperature is now below zero, we do have some lovely sunshine. Hello, Mr. Sunshine. He has come out to say hi. Isn't that lovely? Oh, there is something really unusual about walking on snow. Your feet will sink slowly into the snow, and it will make a sort of crunching sound. As your feet go into the snow, you will hear this wonderful sound. Many people ask, Mr. Duncan, is it easy filming? Is it easy carrying your camera around and pointing it in all different directions? Well, my answer to that question is yes, it can be very difficult. It can be very hard doing this, especially when you are amongst people. I spend most of my time filming myself. I don't know if you've noticed, but I do actually spend most of my time here on YouTube presenting, talking, in front of the camera, sometimes behind the camera as well, doing my filming. So there is always something to do in the world of not only videography, but also teaching English as well. As you can see, the snow in many areas around here has already started to thaw. Thaw. That's an interesting word, thaw. The word thaw is another way of expressing the event of melting. When something begins to melt, we can say that it thaws. Thaws. So instead of being cold and solid, it becomes warmer and liquid. You might have to take some food out of your deep freezer to thaw out. Maybe a piece of meat. You take it out the day before you are going to cook it. So it will thaw out, and then it will be safe to not only cook but also eat as well. If you haven't already noticed, you might be able to hear the sound of flowing water just behind me. And that is because the bridge that I'm standing on right now goes over a small stream. The stream at the moment is flowing quite vigorously. Vigorous. Oh, I like that word, vigorous. Something that is using a lot of energy, something very powerful. Something that is very forceful can be described as being vigorous. I like that word a lot. So at this time of year, especially here in England, well, especially during the past couple of weeks, we've had not only a lot of rain, but also a lot of snow as well. And all of that snow, well, at least the water that is formed after the snow melts, it all has to go somewhere. And most of it will flow into the streams and then into the rivers And in some cases there might even be flooding. You might find that the water has nowhere to go, so it will go wherever it can, and quite often it will go to places where you don't want the water to be. Flooding can be a very big problem, especially if you live in a very low area, in a valley. You might find that you are prone to flooding. To be prone to something means you are at risk of that thing happening to you. You are prone to that particular thing occurring. So during the past couple of months we have had a lot of rain and snow, and also quite a lot of flooding around England, Scotland, and also across Wales as well. Can you see what has happened here? All of the water has not only gathered in this field, but also it has frozen as well. A lot of this water has now turned to ice. This particular area of land is very useful because all of the flood water will gather in this area, thus protecting all of the other areas where there might be property. We often refer to this type of land as a floodplain. Floodplain. Plain just means land. P-L-A-I-N. Floodplain. Floodplains are very useful for keeping the excess water away from residential areas where it will cause damage and lots of inconvenience. This is a floodplain, very close to where I live. So now, as the light begins to fade, I will return to my house. I hope you've enjoyed the sights and also some of the sounds of a snowy winter's day. This is Mr. Duncan in England saying, see you again soon, and of course, ta-ta for now.